Hey, my name is Ross Marquand, and I play Red Skull. You are listening to Panels to Pixels podcast. Check it out.
This is just the beginning.
She tore a hole in space. There's a different reality leading into ours.
What are you prepared to do?
I'm invincible.
Your powers only make me stronger.
So you can't be matched. Can't be controlled. I'm asking for one last fight.
You cannot protect your people.
But you can stand tall without standing alone.
They're here.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Robert.
And this is Panels to Pixels podcast. And in this episode, we are covering the new movie that came out from the MCU that's out in the theaters still, which is The Marvels, which is 2023.
Oh, the Marvels.
The Marvels. So with that, this is a spoiler full podcast. So if you have not seen the movie, don't want to be spoiled, please stop the episode right now. Go to the movies, go see it,
And then come back.
And then come back to us, basically, form some sort of opinion. But it's what, the 34th Marvel movie that's out there right now.
Is it really 34?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rob's a little bit miffed about me because I did fall asleep to this. I was off today and I just woke up. But I am still bright and awake to actually talk about this movie, which is so funny. But the thing is that it was my day off and I was like, all right, let's do this and we'll do it for later in the afternoon. He had work today and I did not, but I still have my thoughts in my head about the movie. They're not that bad, but they're also not that good as far as my thoughts about the particular movie. So with that, we're going to continue and go forth and go into the movie that we call The Marvels that came out in 2023. And with that, the synopsis of this particular movie is Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. However, unintended consequences see her shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe when her duties send her to an enormous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary. Her powers become entangled with two other superheroes to form the Marvels. So I got this offline. So with that particular synopsis, I don't think it's the original synopsis that Marvel has put out there, but this is probably one of the most recent and kind of vague, but in a nutshell, yeah. So basically, her powers do get intertwined with Photon, which is Monica Rambeau, and Miss Marvel, who we know from the MCU or Disney Plus TV show, which is Miss Marvel. And a lot of people don't like that show.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason they really didn't like it was more because of how they kind of did away with her morphing powers.
Yes.
Where she could morph in. into anything. And I think that was one of the biggest criticisms was that. And then second, and again, this is spoilers if you haven't seen the Disney Plus show, towards the end of the series, they made her into a mutant.
And there was no mention in this particular movie about her being a mutant.
Correct.
So
they were mutants, but no, they didn't address that part.
Yeah. And this is directly after the Miss Marvel show that came out on Disney Plus, a lot longer after the show had ended. And you would think, all right, we're going to address this. Even in the after credits, they didn't necessarily have to address it during the film. They could have addressed it at least at the after credits where, spoilers, obviously, we do see something with mutants in it.
Right.
And it should have been something that triggered us going, yay, we have the mutants back. Even more so, we have a mutant character. Yay, it's not exactly what we got from the actual comic book, but you utilize that within the show itself. But now we're at the movie point, and you were supposed to say something, and not to talk like Chandler Bing, but the thing is that it's like blatant in your face. Why didn't you do it?
Right.
But I think Marvel is losing its way at certain times with what they have set forth. A lot of it is writing, following through, continuity, and just gelling everything. Now, mind you, this movie came out way after Secret Invasion, and I still have issues with that because there's no talk, about Secret Invasion with the Skrulls and everything else. Because
the whole thing about that is that a lot of people have been asking, does this movie take place before or after Secret Invasion? And if you actually look at the release date, I think this was supposed to come out before the Secret Invasion show.
It was,
and then they pushed it to November, and then so a lot of people are like, well, so what about certain things that happen in the movie and certain things that happen in the show? And it just seems like somehow, because I guess Secret Invasion, it was such a disaster. People forgot about the show. I think even Marvel forgot about the show.
Yeah.
but that being said, it seems to me when I see this, because when you watch the beginning of the movie, when you watch the ending of Miss Marvel, where all of a sudden she disappears and Carol Danvers reappears in her bedroom, that's exactly what happens in the beginning of this movie.
Yep.
Meaning that this takes place as soon as the Miss Marvel show finishes.
Correct.
So that means there was no time for the Secret Invasion stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think that this takes place before Secret Invasion, especially but they also mentioned, so what was the planet where the Skrulls were on? Do you remember that planet? I don't know if they
remember.
had
I know what we're talking about. I remember it, and we do see the Emperor of the Skrulls too.
Correct.
Which we did actually speak about when when Steve and myself and yourself had covered Secret Invasion at times. And I remember talking about that Emperor, and he was meant to be vicious and angry and everything. He wasn't.
No.
That character in this portrayal was very calm, had a different demeanor completely in what was originally in the comics and what they actually talked about within Secret Invasion. He wasn't the tyrant that it was that we thought he was going to be. He was literally cowering in the hands of these remnants of Kree that lost their planet now, that are taking revenge in their hands to the Skrull Empire, that are segregated to a different planet at this point. And it's like, okay, where's the truth? You're weighing your hands up and down. Kree Skrull. What's the truth? What's the truth?
Right.
Throughout Secret Invasion, as we saw, it looked like, wow, there's a certain sect of the Skrulls that were on Earth that were really, really bad. And, you had Nick Fury himself running away and having to come back all the way from Saber and dealing with this whole mess. And this one, it's about, Nick Fury being a little bit aloof and being responsible and really cool about things and having a humorous side about him, about the said situation and handling it well. Whereas before he was, Secret Invasion, he was extremely serious. So I think this is an issue with the writers of seeing what came before. And this was supposed to be before and it didn't happen. And then we got Secret Invasion and now they're dealing with the consequences of people like us that had watched and covered Secret Invasion. And now we're like scratching our heads. All right. Is this an alternate universe that we're talking about now? Because you have a lot of fun with alternate universes, but I'm seeing two ends and they don't meet up in the middle of where they're supposed to work with continuity.
Yeah, well, the one thing I noticed, actually the name of the planet is Tarnax, and they mentioned Tarnax in Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I believe we talked about it. Yeah,
they did. So here's what really gets me about all that. So Captain Marvel and Nick Fury were supposed to try to get the Skrulls a home world. Well, Tarnax seems like it was a home world.
Yes,
you could put 1 million fucking people in there. They're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But for some reason, only a handful was there.
Yeah. So they were terraforming it.
Right. And so I don't know if they were terraforming it, but I just know that it was more of like, hey, they're all pissed off because there was, you didn't even try to look for a place for us. And they didn't even mention in Secret Invasion, we did have a planet for you, but certain events stopped that or whatever it was. No, it was just more like, oh, well, we're sorry. We couldn't find you a planet. So there are things that just don't line up from the series and this movie. That being said, I mean, this movie has some charming moments.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people were kind of thrown off by the whole, hey, first of all, there's a lot of people out there talking bullshit,
yeah,
that a whole bunch of 3 women trying to carry this this movie, it doesn't work, right? And
I really don't look at that stuff because I think that's anti-feminists that are out there.
No, of course. And as a matter of fact, they're producers. I forgot somebody up in Marvel or something like that at some point thought the same thing, and I heard this somewhere else, but I'm sure he's laughing his ass off because this movie opened in the weekend to, I believe, let me see, what was the take on this? So the take on this was the box office on this for the weekend.
Yeah.
Was, I believe, 40 something million dollars, I believe.
Yeah.
At first. Yeah, it was like
that's the first weekend.
Yeah, they estimated to be anywhere from 47 to 52 million. This is the lowest Marvel movie ever.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because Quantumania and the Eternals, I think, are much worse than this movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you and I both agree on the Eternals. Quantumania was something had its moments, in my opinion, and we've already reviewed that. But the thing is that both of could have done differently. Eternals could have been easily something you could have introduced into Disney Plus as a vehicle. Quantumania, I think there's too many hands in the pot, and granted, you had Sam Raimi that was the head of that particular movie, and legendary Sam Raimi.
You're talking about Multiverse of Madness there.
Oh, all right. Yeah, Multiverse Madness. Yeah, I'm getting them confused. Yeah,
Right.
Quantumania. Yeah, definitely was a little bit. Yeah, that had to do it. Definitely needed a rewrite. But I'm not saying that it wasn't entertaining.
The thing is that, of course, people have been complaining about the special effects and how poor they've been looking lately.
Yeah.
Quantum Mania was definitely what I would say a victim of that.
Mm.
But the Marvels, you would think, them pushing it to November, that they were going to try to at least make the story better. There were times that the story was, kind of engaging. And then there were things that took me off. And I think people are very divided into certain things. I know that I was one of those that, as I watched this movie and I sat there and I'm like, what are they doing? Because there were parts so I'll give you an example.
Use one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. The part of the planet where everybody has to sing to each other.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden it breaks out into some kind of musical. I was like, why? I mean, but the thing is that some people found that to be a relief, and I'm like, okay, I guess you like that, but I personally did not. I personally thought that was a very dumb part to put in there. And the second one was the Flurgans, or the Flurgan having little kittens everywhere, and then just
eating everybody. Yeah,
that just, to me, I was like, come on, guys.
That to me was just like, wow, you just jumped the shark right there.
Yeah, it was just
the singing didn't really get to me as much. I'm like, okay, that was definitely something that was written ahead of time that they already knew, and they wanted to invoke that in that way. Very much like with let's talk about another movie fairly recently that Marvel had put out, Love and Thunder,
right,
and how comedic that was. That didn't have as much of an issue, but still had issues back then. When it came out.
I think a lot of people had issues with that. I mean, so if you watch Thor Ragnarok, right, while that gave new life to Thor itself, it made it comedic, but it didn't make it over the top. Then all of a sudden, they just kind of told Taika Waititi, do whatever you want. And he went way overboard. Somebody should have been like, yo, dude, no, let's rein it back. Not that much.
Yep.
He went. So a lot of people, that's why it still is considered one of the poor example, one of the movies after the
Endgame.
The Endgame that, has a lot of criticism and it's not that great. It's being grouped with Eternals and Quantumania when it comes to that. This had its moments, but stuff like that whole musical part, to me, it didn't jive, but that's just me.
Yeah, I understand.
So for some people actually like that. Some people actually like the little kittens. The one thing that everybody says and agrees on is that Iman Vellani, the one who plays Miss Marvel, was the actual star of this entire movie.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people are just giving her a lot of praise because, she played it the way she was playing a kid, because she's a kid.
Yeah.
She's a kid that she idolizes, Miss Marvel, and now she's there with her hero. And the way she acts would be exactly like a kid would act.
Yeah. And I expected that coming into the movie.
Right.
This is way she would react to Captain Marvel, how she would act towards Monica Rambeau, Nick Fury, and then her parents and how their reaction are to Captain Marvel as well as Nick Fury as well. So to me, I was expecting that. And it's very much akin to what we got from the same Miss Marvel that we get in the comic, personality wise, attitude wise, kid wise, everything. And I was fine with it. And I don't think she is the lead. I think she's the lead character or subject that brings them together.
Right.
It's the gel that brings both Monica Rambeau and Carol Danvers together as a unit. And it worked well. It worked very well. A lot of people are not fans of Miss Marvel in the comic books. There are not many fans of Miss Marvel of the TV show, its portrayal, which I understand completely because you want it to be exactly like the comic, but through adaptation that Marvel has done with a lot of characters, and we'll
Right.
talk about more about that. Her powers and how they are. It's not morphing. It's not elastic. It's more of like
Right.
presentation. It looks like something out of Green Lantern with her powers coming out from her body, even though it is the bangle that does it, which
Right.
is the reason for this particular movie, because we get more information about it. Somebody goes out there. Now, I understand people's gripes about that. Me, I enjoyed it. I was okay with it. That writing, I understood. The issue that I have is with the writing. It's like, okay, we want Guardians of the Galaxy again, but with the Marvels right now. So you got somebody who acts and has a same hammer as Ronan the Accuser and looking for revenge. And in this case, in Guardians' case, it was Ronan looking for power and acclaim and all that good stuff. But in this case, this is a revenge one. Now, yeah, the character is played by Tom Hiddleston's wife, which we all know.
Right.
And she has the same hammer doing the same thing and finds that other bangle that we've been talking about ever since Miss Marvel left the air on Disney Plus how many months ago. So it's like, oh, okay, we're picking up where we left off with Miss Marvel. And then we get this whole convoluted backstory about how Captain Marvel destroyed the Kree, which was off camera, which we get in pretty much flashbacks, and then how she's identified as being the annihilator of the Kree species itself and that planet, which is okay. And I'm like, okay, all right, so
But that was one of the biggest criticisms, because so Dar-Ben is actually he's a character, of course, in Marvel Comics, but he is such a lesser character than you would expect. That the fact that they dug so deep into the Marvel well just to try to make that person the villain. And honestly, I don't think that villain was that memorable. There were times that as I see this, it looked like a low budget film at certain times when she was on the screen. I don't know. There was just, she didn't come off menacing. To me, she didn't come off as a formidable villain. Yeah. It was just, she was an angry person that just wanted to get revenge and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, okay. But for some reason, this whole thing really didn't move. Like this entire phase is so messed up. This didn't move the story forward for the next phase. What it did was it moved it forward for like, hey, to have the X-Men in. But of course, with all the Jonathan Winters problems, where now they're trying to rethink whether they're going to have Jonathan Majors. Oh my God, Jonathan Winters.
What are you going back to Mork and Mindy?
Holy shit! I threw that in there. No, but yeah, Jonathan Majors problems. Marvel is now rethinking the whole, Kang thing, and trying to see if, okay, maybe they'll just from last, the last rumor was that they were going to try to put Doctor Doom.
Well, that would make more sense based upon the comic runs and the timeline, because not only did as we all know, listeners, and you listeners that are comic readers, the original Secret Wars ended in the sense of where Doctor Doom gained acclaim and getting that power from the Beyonder, and then come in Secret Wars 2, he got more power, and then come the most recent version of Secret Wars our Secret Wars for the MCU would be landing, which is multiversal. That lands into the realm of multiversal people, but a multiversal battle planet. And Doom is the ultimate villain in that comic run. They're trying to make it so that Kang is there because he deals with time and different multiple universes. So they're thinking they could elaborate and make that work. But the issues with Jonathan Majors that are going on, they have had hints of Doctor Doom, like let's say in Moon Knight
What
and
what
other
hint did they
shows.
have in that? Because I didn't see any hints of Doctor Doom in that.
They literally had all the hints of
Oh, you're talking
of
about Ledvaria, where yeah,
correct, where you would see him sitting. He wakes up in the car and it's in the movement, and then he wakes up and he's outside and it's a big castle. You also see a Latvarian kind of boxes in the truck that he winds up waking up in and battling somebody. So they kind of Easter egg certain things of Latveria in certain shows and movies here and there. And it's interesting, but it's kind of like it's a tease.
it's a tease because you
But-
know, of course, they want to lead into Fantastic Four, but I think
Mhm.
now they're trying to like say, okay, you know what? Let's kind of like put the Kang thing on the side because honestly, I don't know why Kang became the next level villain. Like you have somewhere like
They shouldn't have
right,
been.
yeah, like you have somewhere like Thanos, and Thanos was memorable, but you didn't get
Mhm.
Thanos, right? You got little hints of him, but you didn't get Thanos in the beginning. You got Thanos towards the end in 2 movies. That's when you got to see a lot of Thanos. Everybody waited for that event in order to see Thanos. Here, they give you Kang right away. So they're already giving you the villain way too early into this phase. And I
Yeah.
think that, to me, that was a mistake. But that being said, now, you know, to go back to the Marvels, I just think
Mhm.
that this movie, first of all, I think it's all over the place, but
Oh yeah, writing wise, it was.
writing wise, it was all over the place. I think that there were just certain things that just didn't match up very well. They shouldn't really call. I mean, if this was, they're like, oh well, you know, it's called the Marvels. Well, I thought it was supposed to be Captain Marvel 2. Now they call it the Marvels, which is honestly a group of women that are not even a group in the comic books.
Nope.
So,
Nope.
you know, I don't see.
I like the idea for the fact that you have 2 people in there at least that have Marvel in their name. Captain Marvel, you got Miss Marvel.
That's it.
Now, unfortunately, Photon, which doesn't even have an official, Professor Marvel, all this crap that they were trying to do, trying to give her a name.
Right. They did
And
mention Photon, and what was the other name? There's another name that she goes by, but
Binary?
no, Binary was, yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, I know that. But I
But
don't
they
remember.
did try to say,
but-
you know, like I remember Kamala saying something about like, how about Photon or something like that. So, you know, they would she was throwing out names that were used in the comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is sad because honestly, Monica Rambeau in the comics was Captain Marvel in the original Secret Wars that we got. And she had, it's funny too, because even with her visage, with her new suit that they got on the Singing Planet, that was her, except minus the mask. Even Miss Marvel says it's like, I don't have my mask. So all of them are maskless at this point too throughout the movie. So apparently no masks are needed now because I guess nobody knows who the hell they are. But which I find okay. You know, these are adaptations and they could change that. But you know, in the original Secret Wars, we do have Captain Marvel by Monica Rambeau. Same kind of frizzled kind of hair that she has. I'm not going to say Afro based, but her hair was very big in this particular episode in comparison to WandaVision and in the regular MCU. As it were.
looked the same to me, but okay.
Well, to me, it looked, maybe it's my imagination imposing on it, going, okay, it's her without the damn mask. But and a lot of it also had to do with you know, just she should have already had a name by now. There should have been a code name by Saber, not Shield anymore, everybody. Not even Sword, which is what Saber is in the comic book. So it's initially Sword that's in the comic. So because Shield is no longer, but that's my own little gripes and everything about the MCU and how their tactics are.
I think So my opinion on Marvel is that I'm still not going to give up on them.
Same here.
I think they stumbled. That's what I think. I think they stumbled, and the one thing they're trying to do is to regroup and now try to see if they could come out with some good quality stuff instead of all the quantity stuff that we were getting. I mean, we were getting so much Marvel that it no longer became special. It was just something that we were getting it every other month. There was something about Marvel, and we're like, all right, whatever. And then, of course, I think the biggest thing that has ruined this, it has been the fact that people who do not watch the TV shows, they go to these movies and they're left wondering, where the hell is this coming from? And they don't realize that they have to go watch a show in order for them to understand a little better. And that has turned off a lot of people. But I have hopes for them. Definitely, I think Deadpool should hopefully bring back some of that magic to Marvel again. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. My overall take about the movie itself, honestly, was that it was entertaining, and it gave us an entertaining look about these characters individually. We got a little bit more further into the story plot of Monica Rambeau and Carol Danvers. They did eliminate a specific story point within the movie before it was released, which was an edit, which was there was supposed to be some sort of love affair between Monica and Carol, which they took out, as well as with Maria Rambeau. So they kind of left it off at saying, even Fury says it, saying, "Oh, am I like interrupting some sort of family reunion?" Which was okay. But you could see within that cutscene, these are cutscenes that were redone. So a lot of people already had pre-screened the movie itself, and you're talking a long time ago, and then there were rewrites and reshoots regarding this. So they eliminated that. Now, I'm not saying I'm upset about the woke movement or anything that's out there, or upset about it in any way, or they had to shut it down. But to me, it was kind of pushed. But in this case, with the reshoots and the rewrites, it was kind of right in your face for somebody who knew about it. And you're like, okay, that was kind of awkward. But they would have to have retooled and rewrote and reshot a lot of the movie at that point of how these characters interacted and reacted to one another. When it came to Miss Marvel and her introduction, a lot of people hated it because honestly, the movie was geared more towards between a 12-year-old to 45-year-old dynamic that's out there. A lot of people like me would not be within that dynamic area because we're outside of it. We're older, and I'm okay with it because I was aware of the character of Miss Marvel, her impact, and what they've already done with the character. And a lot of people find the character being annoying that are in my age bracket. And me, I just like, okay, I could see it from the viewpoint of a millennial or Zennial or whatever you want to call kids nowadays. But they're trying to get grafted to that market area, and it's fine. And I think the girl who plays Kamala and even her parents and her brother, it just worked out story-wise, writing-wise, as far as comedic. The music wasn't really anything that was extravagant, but it had its tensions, and it did well for the movie. And it kind of fit the villain role, like we discussed a little bit already. Honestly, no, it could have been a completely different character. I would have liked to like further the MCU along instead of having this character from the Kree. Make it a Nihilus doing something different.
Could have done that. They could have brought in Adam Warlock, since Adam Warlock and the Kree and Ms. Marvel and all those things are actually tied in together in the comic books. I mean, this was a good opportunity to try to use Adam Warlock,
but they've already ruined that.
Yeah, they ruined Adam Warlock.
Guardians 3.
In Guardians 3, which was the only, I would say, in that movie, that was the only thing that bothered me about that movie was that the way they portrayed that character.
Same here. that was the only issue I had of that particular movie. We covered that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only issue I had when it came to Guardians 3 was Adam Warlock. Because there was so many hopes and dreams that were going into Adam Warlock, the Warlock himself, who was very prominent in the comics for not only the Kree Empire and everything that was going on, but also a big catalyst in Endgame during the Infinity Gauntlet series that was in comic form. He was very much a key catalyst within that, and they took that away. And when they gave it to us, they teased us at the end of, what was it, Guardians 2. We were just sitting on that for so long, and then out of the blue, it's like, oh, we get Guardians 3. Oh, we get to finally see Adam Warlock. And they kind of made him a little goofy, which, okay, that's fine. And then they eventually made him at the very end. Spoilers. I'm sorry if everybody didn't understand spoilers in this, but at the end of Guardians 3, he became part of the Guardians.
Right.
Which was okay, in my opinion. I thought, okay, but he's not as powerful as he once was in the comics. But like I said, with the character we got as a villain, they could have easily made that Annihilus. And then at least harken back to somebody who is a darker villain.
But Annihilus is like a character that you mostly see in Fantastic Four.
That is true. But they own it now. So they could easily do that and then incorporate that. And then they could do a past version of Annihilus when they introduced the Fantastic Four. Because if they were smart, they wouldn't actually go, hold on, we're going to do the whole origin story of the Fantastic Four again. Do we want to see that again? We've already seen it twice. And they were smart enough in the MCU and Sony to say, we've already done this with Spider-Man. We're not going to see that origin story yet again. And if they're smart, they'll do that with the Fantastic Four. But they could utilize that and do it as like a previously on, or this previously happened. And then do a quick flashback. And then whoever plays Reed Richards, because there's like issues with that too.
Well, you know who's going to play Reed Richards, right?
Pedro Pascal is supposedly in the running, and I got to the point of being tired of hearing it's official, and honestly, this is all fan casting. For a long time, it was supposed to be, oh, I forgot his name, from Star Wars.
From Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, I know
the new version of Star Wars.
I remember that they want
Adam Driver.
Oh, they
play.
said that he was supposed to play, but according to comicbook.com, I believe they said that it's official that it is Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people. My friend Jason had posted it. My friend Ben and I are still on the same fence of going, we've been hearing this. We want it. The only official story that we could actually pay respect to would be like Vanity Fair, all these other places that are highly reputable. Once you start saying comicbook.com, Dead Central, all this other stuff that's out there, it's kind of on a wing and a prayer, and then it changes overnight.
Right.
My attitude is, as soon as Marvel gives us that official, here it is, because it's always been name after name after name, and then it changes.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's not.
So here's the interesting thing. So something like that I'm reading, that Fantastic Four Kevin Feige reportedly feared cast was too white. So that's why they wanted to put Pedro Pascal in it. But there's an interesting thing out there where the Kirby family or something like that, of course, Stanley and Jack Kirby are the ones that came up with Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
There is something that stipulates that the Fantastic Four, they're supposed to be a Jewish family, and that it should remain as a Jewish family. So it's going to be very interesting to now hear this whole, hey, Marvel Studios, all of a sudden, is going to be all anti-Semitic and all this stuff, because they're not going to the Jewish family as opposed to now trying to make it Spanish. So I could just hear the bombs going off on that one if it does happen.
Well, yeah, it's honestly a lot of that came into play too, because I forgot who they got from. They cast it originally
It was original.
for the Thing.
Oh,
It
not sure
was
there.
okay. The Thing was, and I was like, "Excuse my tapping, everybody." I'm looking it up who the actor is and the reason why they initially casted him. Daveed Diggs was originally casted as Ben Grimm,
Mhm.
and Daveed Diggs was from Snowpiercer. He was in Hamilton, if you all recall. Daveed Diggs himself is Jewish, and that was the whole point of having him be Ben Grimm, who is the Thing,
Right.
because that way they would have that representation. So I can understand where it's like, okay, they want to do this so that they have the representation. Daveed Diggs, I don't mind that he is a black actor. That I love his work. I love his acting. He is a great actor, writer, director, and I love Snowpiercer, and I loved all his other subsequent characters. I think he would have been perfect as the character of Ben Grimm. If they continue to do that, it would be great. It's not your ever loving blue-eyed Ben Grimm that you do get out of Fantastic Four, but honestly, what did we get out of the other version of Fantastic Four?
Right.
We did get a black actor in there in the sense of, well, he was originally he wound up coming into the MCU as Killmonger, and he played Johnny Storm, which I didn't have a problem with either, too, in that particular movie. It was just a bad movie.
Oh, I had a
But-
problem with that. That was just everything about that movie was miscast. Everything. No, that's such a
Not to talk about bad mistakes by a non-Marvel film, too, by the way. It was originally a Fox film, too. But I didn't have a problem with, like, different racial casting at all. I have no problems with that. The thing is that, when they start to saying, oh, it's all anti-Semitic, and I'm like, man, honestly, you're just looking for a reason of argument.
here's
know.
here's the opinion of a Latino man like myself.
Okay.
I have a problem when it comes to characters that have been around for a very long time, that all of a sudden,
And everybody was whitewashed.
right, but that all of a sudden they decide, well, we're going to make them different race. And I'm like, why would you do that when just come up with a character? There are tons of characters out there of different races that are very popular. Why are you
That is
taking
true.
a character, if there is not, especially when it comes to very iconic characters that have been around for the last 50 years, and then somebody comes in and says, well, I'm just going to change them to a different race. And it's like, why? All you're doing is pissing off 50 years of people loving that character. And of course, they love the character because of the history behind that character. You grew up with that character. It's not that people are trying to be racist or anything like that. It's just the fact that, hey, this is the character, period. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you change it. Now, if it's a character like, they have race swapped certain characters in Marvel that are just like lesser characters that have been around in, in the MCU. I mean, in Marvel comics, that you're not like, yeah, I mean, I saw him, I don't know, 30 years ago, but it's not like he's a popular character. They bring him out once in a blue moon. Sure, go ahead and do whatever you want on that. But,
yeah,
you didn't see anyone all of a sudden decide, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to change Peter Parker to be a black man. No, they went ahead and made a character like Miles Morales, and he became a hit. And he's his own character. They didn't have to change Peter Parker. They made a character that is very interesting and very popular with people. And as a matter of fact, especially with younger people and younger people of color, that's their Spider-Man. But it didn't have to be, hey, let's race swap them. So I don't see why they have to do stuff like that sometimes. Kamala Khan, They made her, I think, is Indian or Pakistani, or and I apologize,
Indian.
I'm not sure if it's
Indian or Pakistani. It's or a cross between both races.
I'm
But,
not sure, and I apologize for anybody out there that I don't know
same
this,
here.
but they made her basically Muslim. They have Monica Rambeau, who from the very beginning in Marvel Comics, she was black. And guess what? There's no reason to change them. As a matter of fact, God forbid you change them. But you know what? There were characters that were made and they were actually loved and people accepted them. So there's no reason, for me, there's no reason to change an older character. Just go with the ones that, have been around for a long time already of a different color. I mean, if you look at the X-Men was all about different races, different, what I would say, the
cultures,
different cultures, the differences between
everybody. Russian, African.
I mean, Stan Lee was great about that, saying, hey, the new X-Men, well, yeah, I'm going to have a German, I'm going to have a Russian, I'm going to have a Canadian, I'm going to have an African, I'm going to have American Indian, I'm going to have Irish, and guess what? Yeah. They became so popular. Granted that they killed off Thunderbird, but then they brought him back.
And Banshee too.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, they became characters that everybody loved, and they grew up with them. Imagine if somebody comes in and says, "You know what? I'm just going to change Storm to
some white chick."
Yeah, a white chick. Dude, people will be in an uproar. So so there's no reason, I think, to change the iconic characters. Just use the other characters that are also iconic of color. And I think that like this movie did that very well. I think, the Marvels, they didn't change anything around. So I was okay with that.
Case in point, Nick Fury too, as far as the legacy character that was originally white.
He was, except in the Ultimate universe, he was black.
Correct. And it was based after Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, it was. So, and a lot of people liked that character, and it seemed like, and it worked. That character worked. And I will say, that's a character that actually did work in terms of that.
Yeah, they could also bring Michael Hasselhoff, who actually did play Nick Fury on TV,
now they're doing
as an alternate version.
That's going to be a very old Nick Fury, man.
He's warranting that eye patch in the old age.
No, I just think that there's really no reason to go freaking crazy. Honestly, I feel like it's a very hypocritical thing. I feel that every time they do that, they're checking off a box. Say, okay, did we get the token black guy? Yes. Did we get the token?
Correct.
Did we get the token Latino guy? Yes. That's checked. Oh, we need a chick here. Yes. Oh, don't forget, we got to also put the, a gay person in here. Check. It's like they're checking off all these boxes just
to accommodate society,
just to accommodate
and what they're fishing.
Yeah. But there's really no reason that they're giving for that. I don't care about a couple that's a gay couple in the movie or in any movie. It's just don't all of a sudden put it front and centered, like
and the prime focus
like you're
of what we need to do.
You're throwing it in people's faces, saying, "See what we did? See what we did? We're cool too." It's to me, the story is always should go first. I don't care about the person's background. I don't care about their sexual relation. I don't care about any of that. If the story's good and if that story warrants that type of exploration of that relationship, then fine. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't, I'm like, okay, you're just checking off boxes again. So that's my little rant on that. But that being said, when it comes to, this movie, I think this movie did a fantastic job with that part of it where they just did not deviate from, changing the characters because, let's just change it because of this or that. No, those are characters in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, my thought still is that it was entertaining, gave us the humor, gave us the action, definitely. there are flaws within it, within the writing and continuity. That's all it was. And we did. It's just another movie that propelled the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie machine, to give us more teasing, which makes me move right along into, because I already spoke about music, and it wasn't anything grand or great, but it did great for certain scenes. But
The music was just okay.
it was okay
It
for a Marvel
it
film.
served the purpose. Like we
Yeah.
have said in other podcasts, there are iconic scores where you go, wow, the score really drove the movie.
And you know where it came
And
from.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you're like, wow, because of that score, it made things better. And then there's a score that just, you need for a movie. This was a score that you just needed for a movie. I didn't come out of the
Correct.
movie humming the damn, score or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't even remember the scores
Correct.
or the themes from it, but it's one of those the typical. I hate saying it. It was very much Multiverse of Madness, very much Quantumania, in the sense of it's just another Marvel film,
Mm-hmm.
and people will go see it opening weekend. It'll make some sort of money in order to pay for itself to some degree, or to keep the Marvel legacy moving on. But we also get the typical after credit scenes, which we all look forward to, and we do get two poignant ones, and it's not even at the credit scenes, just before the credit scenes.
Yeah.
And then we get Miss Marvel herself, Kamala, coming up to the new Hawkeye,
Kate Bishop.
Kate Bishop herself, which we've already seen from the Hawkeye TV series, and her explaining, "Hey, here Ant-Man's got a daughter too, so let's move this forward." And she's using the whole Shield iPad thing to show her.
They don't mention it.
And
I don't think they mention Ant-Man.
they did mention somebody had a child, a daughter, and I couldn't remember. And I asked somebody, and they were like, "Oh no, they were talking about Ant-Man's daughter." And I was like,
Casey
"Oh,
Lang.
okay."
All right. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember that. We'll have to go see it. Yeah, they kind of made, Kamala Khan all of a sudden do the same role that Nick Fury did the first time he met Tony Stark, which was, hey, there's a
Correct.
bigger world out there. Did you think you were the only
Correct.
superhero? And this, of course, is all leading to the Young Avengers, which honestly, if you really look at the Marvel movies and the Marvel TV shows, all the Young Avengers have actually been already introduced.
Correct.
So,
and we already got the new Hawkeye introduced. Miss Marvel's already been introduced. Casey Lang has already been introduced. So it's not, and same thing with at the end of She-Hulk, we got Scar.
And then we got, of course, what is it? Scarlet Witch's kids that are supposed
Wicked and
Wiccan and who's the other one? I forgot the name of the other one, but they're both
Quick.
They're both
like
supposed to be also in the Young Avengers. So
with the multiversal thing, they could easily incorporate them, get them involved, and then move forward. And then those young actors that my friend Paik already knows has interviewed on at various conventions. So my friend Paik does Run for Your Lives and Strange Indeed podcast. He actually befriended one of the kids from the WandaVision show and their parents, so he keeps in touch. But it'll give them their own, movie, and I think it'd probably be a one-off movie more than anything. I don't think it's not going to be anything huge, but it was a way to, all right, we have the Young Avengers, but we're also going to be getting the Thunderbolts anyway,
right?
Because they have to explain come the new Captain America movie when we get Harrison Ford as
Ross Thunderbolt,
Thunderbolt Ross, and he becomes, I hate saying it, it's kind of making fun of Friends, but Red Ross, because he's the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that yeah, we're looking at a lot of things that throwing into the bowl or the salad bowl, as I would say,
Yeah.
of Marvel. And I do enjoy that to some degree, but don't rush it. Don't push it. Stick to the rhythm that we've been dealing with. That was the Merry Marvel way. Uh, I still like to be in the Merry Marvel movie society like anybody else, and just love to watch these movies come out based upon the comics that we love that were a build up. So I'm hoping that they slow back, and just like as Rob was mentioning, Kevin Feige wanted to do more quality over quantity. And I'm hoping that they come back to that. Originally, Echo was supposed to be canceled.
No, actually,
But
now it's coming out. The entire thing is coming out in January, February.
Yeah, which we will be covering. I'm thinking we're probably going to do it 2 episodes at a time, because I wasn't very hopeful for it I was hopeful for it like a year ago.
Right.
Now I'm not looking forward to it as much, but I will be covering it with a little bit more hopeful eyes. But I figure we do 2 episodes at a time on the podcast, because I'm just curious. I'm like, how are they going to deal with Matt? How are they going to deal with Kingpin? There's so much to be caught up on because of not just the pandemic, but also with the writer strikes, the SAG-AFTRA strikes. They're behind in a lot of ways, and this was filmed during that time or just before it ended, before it started.
Right.
So now we have to deal with that.
I think what's going to happen, I mean, again, this is their way of probably slowing things down. We know that Daredevil, halfway through, they decided to cancel everything they had and restart again because they didn't like what they were seeing. Which, you know what?
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. That just means that they're really caring about the way this thing is being done.
How it's presented
they're not,
and fan reaction.
Yeah, they're not rushing it through. So you got a few projects out there that are actually, they're trying to take their time. Look, I mean, DC, if in 2024, 4 or 5,
It's
4,
at least by the end of 2024.
no, 2024, the entire year of 2024, there's not a single DC project coming out.
Really? 2024?
2024,
okay.
Not a single project. And it's because I guess James Gunn is trying to, make sure that what he comes out with, it's going to, be of good quality. Now, that being said, they just announced that the villain in Superman is going to be the Authority. And I don't understand why.
Me neither.
So that's kind of strange there. So we'll have to see how that goes. But there's the fact that there is superhero fatigue already. And I think, the fact that we have all the studios somewhat failing when it comes to trying to grasp that fire again, especially Marvel.
The Marvel was the leading flag holder and running across
every
everybody.
time you saw the Marvel name come up on a screen, you knew this was gonna,
it was gold.
You knew this was gonna be special. And now a lot of people are just kind of like going, who cares?
Meh.
And that's a shame. So I'm hoping they could, at least, they're never gonna recapture that first 10 years ever. We know that.
No.
But they need to do something better than what they're doing now. I think like the other part of this movie that they showed was, of course, Beast from the X-Men.
The after credit scene that we do get, where Monica is forced to go into the other universe, and then she meets Maria Rambeau as well as Beast from the X-Men. We get Kelsey Grammer voicing, but we get the true look of what Beast looked like in comic form. in comparison to his other visages that we got from the cinematic universe.
Yeah, and then we see Maria Rambo's mom, who is actually dressed.
Monica Rambo's mom, which is Maria.
Oh yeah, Maria Rambo is dressed as binary.
Correct.
So in this,
which we already saw in the Multiverse of Madness, by the way, she got killed. She was the new Captain Marvel.
Well, she was Captain Marvel there, but not binary.
Correct.
There.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, here she's binary, and a lot of people are saying that this universe is possibly. You remember the X-Men cartoon?
Yeah, they're thinking that it is the X-Men cartoon universe.
Yeah, they're thinking that because of seeing behind the scenes of Deadpool. We're seeing Hugh Jackman in the traditional Wolverine yellow costume. So you got that, and then you have Beast looking exactly like in the cartoon also. So they're saying that could it possibly be that they're trying to, go into that universe, X-Men, which
which is coming out eventually soon on Disney Plus too, because X-Men 97, the animated, that is supposed to be coming out as well. And which is funny too, because if you think about it, within Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the one that gets his head snapped was supposed to be that one from 1997 as well, the animated version. Because we got the little music cue from the cartoon when he came out.
Oh, you're talking about Xavier.
Yep. But they could easily change that out to a different actor at this point and say it's another alternate version, and that's the true alternate version.
They could still go to what's his name? Who played Xavier? McAvoy. Yeah, I mean McAvoy did an excellent job as Xavier, so I still think
I love both Patrick Stewart and John McAvoy.
Yeah, no, I think that
James McAvoy.
Yeah, I think he could still do the part. I mean, he's still young enough that he could still do it. I mean, now Patrick is, in
his 70s.
I think he's past that.
He's in his 80s.
I don't know. That's a good question. Let me see.
Yeah, look up how old Sir Patrick Stewart is, because he's knighted.
So Mr. Patrick Stewart was born in 1940. He's in his 80s.
Damn.
So, yep.
Mr. Captain Picard is really, really old.
He's 83 right now.
Professor X. Damn. A year older than my mom.
Yeah, okay. He's a year older than my dad, actually. So that being said, I mean, and and Patrick Stewart being such a phenomenal actor, I mean, I still think he could possibly do the part. But
I still think so too.
But that being said, I think that James McAvoy can still do a good part with that, and hopefully they'll bring him back. Hopefully they'll bring back some of the X-Men,
the Fox X-Men that were out there that we do enjoy. Like we've already mentioned it when we covered WandaVision. When who was it that played Quicksilver originally in the Fox? I'm forgetting his name.
About what's his
American Horror Story and Kick-Ass actor.
What's his name? Was it Ashton? No, Ashton. No.
No. But I always look forward to those particular characters coming out, or those versions. We did get him back in WandaVision,
correct,
which was great. But I look forward to having that because he played it so well.
Evan Peters
in the Fox. Evan Peters. So I look forward to seeing him come back and reprise his character. I thought he did very well with it. Nicholas Hoult, I always thought he was pretty okay as the Beast as well. I didn't think anything bad of him. Now, when it comes to
so here's my fantasy, what I would call my fantasy X-Men team, right? So I would have James McAvoy come back as Xavier.
Okay.
I will keep Kelsey Grammer as Beast as long as they CG him exactly the way they did in the end credits, and not
the voice,
just the voice, because the voice is perfect. I would
Yeah.
do Holly Berry still as Storm. I will.
Yeah, I would have gone Angela Bassett. What they
Nah,
originally
I still
wanted.
think Holly Berry would have been better. But that being said, that's just me. Then I
Okay.
would have done somebody like uh who's the guy who Madsen or some the guy who plays Cyclops?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The original 20th Century Fox Cyclops.
Correct.
Okay.
I would have done him.
He's a good actor. He was in Westworld. He's grown as an actor overall. He was a child star originally.
Yeah. And then I would have taken whoever played Colossus in Deadpool. Whoever
I think they're keeping that particular character.
Yeah, so like the CG version of Colossus, and then I forgot who the voice actor on that. I will keep that.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler, I'm not sure because Nightcrawler was originally done. Who's that actor that also did Nightcrawler the very beginning?
Oh, Nightcrawler in the it was the
in X2. It was
I know what you're talking about.
I almost Alan Cumming.
Yeah, Alan Cummings.
So Alan Cumming. I'm not sure about him being, but then there's a kid that came out as Nightcrawler in what was it in the last X-Men that came out.
Well, yeah, the First Class series.
Correct.
As
He
you
was
would
younger
say, because it was
he was a little
yeah.
younger. I think that there's certain characters that would have to be CG. So I think Nightcrawler should have been CG'd, Colossus should be CG'd, and of course Beast definitely should be. Those three right there, in order to follow the same look as the comic book, they should be CG. Whoever you get as a voice actor, as long as they're a good voice actor, I could care less.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I would change out Rogue though.
you don't
Honest.
like Anna Paquin?
I like Anna Paquin as an actress in a lot of films and movies and shows, but I don't think
She doesn't portray
she hit
she
the
doesn't portray
mark.
the Rogue from the comic books.
The comic. I think we could easily get somebody who's a little younger, short-haired, not the long-haired Rogue. We get the little white stripe in her hair.
I mean, I could care less about younger. I mean, what needs to happen is the Southern accent because Rogue is supposed to be from the South, and
Correct.
that didn't come through with the Anna Paquin when she did it. So I think something like that. I also think like let's say somebody like who would I pick for Jean Grey? I'm not even sure there. I do like Famke Jensen.
Famke played it great.
I think she did great on that, and I probably would keep her. Not that I don't mind Sophie Turner because I think she's very beautiful and everything. And I think that she could still do a great job. I just think that was a horrible script that they did for Dark Phoenix.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that we covered that on your podcast, and so that was a train wreck.
And I think Michael Fassbender as Magneto is still perfect.
Same here. I think he's still a great actor. When it comes to
think that Josh Brolin as Cable, fantastic. You know, so there's a few the New Mutants. I didn't like the cast of the New Mutants at all.
Yeah, you were very much clear about that, and I understand. I was that movie in itself came way too late, and it was in developmental hell.
Yeah.
And it did a story arc that I did enjoy when it came out. But it was a story arc that was like 30 years or almost 40 years at that point because it was a New Mutants line. I remember when the New Mutants came out on the scene, and
It was
at my
a
local
great comic
newsstand.
book. I mean, I remember collecting the
Yeah.
comic book. It has some great stories. I just think that they didn't portray it the right way, and that's why that. And they also try to make that movie into like a horror film. So
Yeah, it was at a time when they were trying to push the edge in the envelope
Yeah.
at that point, and it was Fox still as well. I found the movie entertaining. I didn't find it exhilarating. I didn't see it as a motivational tool for within the MCU itself.
right,
But as a standalone, it was okay and entertaining. Different story arc and everything, and it also represented a comic story that I did enjoy back then
Right.
too. But but like minusing, and they do mention Xavier in it. But in this case, it was like in a sanitarium, isolated
Right.
with mutants, being treated by a mutant herself.
and I
But
would continue having Rebecca Remain Stamos as Mystique, and I would
oh
also
yeah,
do
Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
no,
too.
no. I honestly didn't like her as Mystique at all.
Oh
Yeah,
really?
I didn't think she did that. And of course, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, not Danny DeVito like you want.
I would rather Daniel Radcliffe at this point. But if we had to find an alternate Wolverine, yeah, Hugh Jackman is always a go-to, regardless of him being 6'2".
But so there's a few characters out there that I think there's a few people that did a great job when it came to those characters, and if they're looking
Yeah.
to bring some of those characters back or bring some those actors back, sure, I'll welcome them because they did such a fantastic job. But if they're going to change
Mhm.
them, keep in mind what they are, who played them before. And
Yeah.
you as a studio, you should be going, okay, I need to find somebody as good as these people
Mhm.
or better.
Yeah.
So, and not only that,
It's kind of like if you look at the DC world that's out there too, it's like, oh, hold on, we got to hold a candle to Christopher Reeve. We got to hold a candle to Brandon Routh. We got to hold a candle to Dean Cain, who played Superman.
Right.
All these people, just as much as we do with Supergirl herself, or like what they did within the Flash. It's like, hold on, we're gonna pay homage to Nick Cage, even though Nick Cage didn't want to be part of the movie, and in a movie that never even happened.
yeah. So,
But
he
it's-
wanted to be part of the first time the movie is just
Oh, the first time they were working on it with Tim Burton,
Yeah.
yes. But by the time he saw that, he goes, I didn't give them my likeness image rights.
no,
came
that's
out
not true.
recently.
He did. He just did.
Oh,
he
he
just
did?
didn't know he was going to be fighting a spider because
Oh, okay.
he went in for one day of filming. In the actual costume, the way they had it and everything. It's just,
really?
he just didn't know. He didn't know that he was going to be fighting a spider. He said that. He's like, they didn't tell me I was going to fight a spider. They just said, okay, we're just going to film you and stuff like that. But I didn't know about the spider part. So
I don't know why he's complaining anyway. He's in a big movie. He didn't really have to do too much.
exactly. So
He got his payday.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my take on that. So the Marvels to me is a movie that didn't live. I don't think lives up to what Marvel has done before.
Same here.
It had
Yeah.
the charming parts of it had some charming area.
The typical Marvel charming
Right,
moments
but-
of humor, action, definitely timing
Yeah.
within it, but character development a little bit different. It felt a little off kilter.
But it's a
you would
movie
say,
that
right?
nobody asked for.
Yeah, well, we asked for it a number of years ago after Captain Marvel came out, but
Not really. Did we?
Yeah, I did. I was looking forward to it within at least 2 or 3 years,
Mm,
and it's been so long
because
since
in the
that
first
movie
10
came out.
10 years you had Iron Man, and then people were like, well, if you have
Correct.
Iron Man, you got to have Thor. Well, we had Thor. Well, you got to have Captain America. We got Captain America. the Hulk.
Yeah.
We got Ant-Man. We got Hawkeye. We got things that people were asking for. We even got Captain Marvel because people were asking, hey, Captain Marvel. The
Right.
Marvels, trying to team these three ladies together. To me, it's like, so what's new about that? You're not introducing something that I haven't already seen, because you already put Miss Marvel in her own show. You already had Monica Rambeau in WandaVision. What are you? I mean, you had to bring in something huge for it to, because the first movie did over $1 billion. So you have, but then again, that first movie was riding on the coattails of, the whole Avengers Endgame thing. Leading up to that. This is not leading up to anything. So
this is trying to carry the torch, and it's not doing so well as doing so.
I would say people, this is just our review. And again, this is just our personal preference or what or our personal views on it. I would just challenge everybody out there, go see it and go see what we're talking about. If you like it, great. Let us know. If you don't, let us know why. We're always looking forward to hearing from the public out there on what they think.
What were your views about it?
Exactly. So,
well, with that, hearing from you people out there, where can listeners hear you?
Me, you can listen to me here every day. I'll be here every day. I'm going to be on a microphone. I'm going to record myself, and I'm just going to ramble like an old man forever. No, you can actually hear me on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition. And we just finished actually doing our Danny Elfman podcast, our episode where we cover Danny Elfman's life and of course a lot of his soundtracks, and we actually do some samples of that so you people could hear some of his work out there. So hopefully that should be out hopefully by next week.
Awesome. So that's Fantasy Picks Movie Edition, everybody, and you can find that online in any podcast player of choice. Also, you could hear Rob here. We still have to finish up Gen V.
Yep.
On season 1, so we're going to cover the last 2 episodes that'll be coming up probably in another week, as well as sometimes on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, which I also do. So obviously you can hear me here on Panels to Pixels Podcast as always, Adrenaline Cinema Podcast as well, where the only thing that we have out currently right now is Total Recall, which is the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from the 90s.
Oh, good. Not the remake.
Not the remake,
God.
Obviously. So
actually, that remake is on my list of movies that we're going to cover one day.
Okay. So I have to actually watch that again.
It's painful. Oh, don't worry. It's not even going to be. I don't even think it's slated for next year, but it is on the list. I have a huge list of all these failed movies. And
that we could actually try to fix and remake on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition.
And that one's on the list, but it's not going to probably get covered anytime soon. Unless people want to hear it. I don't know.
You never know. That's what feedback is for, everybody. You can also hear me on the Podcastica / Wilhelm collaboration, which is Monarch Legacy of Beasts. We're going to be covering that on that cross-platform.
The first episode podcast just got released as of today.
Yeah, the first 2 actually. The first 2 were dropped on.
Is
Apple
it the
TV
first
Plus.
2? Because I just saw like on Apple TV that it it says watch now. So
I went through it and I took a look, and it has the first 2 episodes.
Wow, that's great.
So this weekend, Ben kind of delayed it as far as recording, but we will definitely be recording. We're doing this Friday, November 17th. So we'll be recording on Sunday, the 19th. So keep that in mind if you want to send a feedback. Most likely, by the time you get this episode, it's going to be Saturday, the 18th. But I'm covering that with my friend Ben Beck, who does the Wilhelm podcast, the Revisited podcast as well for Wilhelm and Podcastka, which is currently still going through their Ted Lasso. So if you love Ted Lasso, go check out the
Oh my
Revisited
God.
podcast.
What a great show.
So it's an awesome show. So I'm probably going to be sending in feedback for the most recent episode, which I forget the name of the episode, but it's after Make Rebecca Great Again. It's in the first season, but I'm going to send in some feedback, hopefully, because there's something that they kind of left out about regarding Van Halen, of all things.
Where in Ted Lasso?
Yeah, they kind of left it out in when Ben and Kristen were talking about it. They were like, they made the comment about who's the second best singer after the David Lee Roth years, and they said Sammy Hagar, but Ben didn't realize. He kind of mentioned something about how, well, Sammy Hagar was the only other person after Roth, and that's actually untrue. Gary Cherone from Extreme was the next singer after Sammy Hagar, after Roth.
Oh, okay.
For a while, and people forgot about that because they did one album.
Okay.
But Hagar is definitely the best. But I think that's where they kind of got stuck with the it's like, oh, I made a mistake kind of thing, and commenting about that. I thought it was a good coverage, though. I thought that him and Kristen are doing great, and oh my God, it's one to check out as far as a podcast, but also a TV show. So you can hear me on Monarch Legacy of Beasts through Wilhelm and Podcastka. It's going to be distributed on both podcasts, so you can hear me there. I put up cross promotion as well on Adrenaline, as well as Panels Pixels, so that way you listeners could easily find me there, and then send in some feedback if you're into Legendary's version of a MonsterVerse. So you can hear me there. And as always, right here, like I said, in Panels to Pixels podcast, because we'll be coming back because we got a lot more stuff that's coming out. We got teased with Madam Web from Sony. So we might be covering that as well as Craven, obviously, but Craven's been in the works and been advertised.
That has gotten
also,
so much bad press. That Madam Web.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. So we'll probably be discussing that, but also What If, that's going to be on Disney Plus too. So we finally get that the next season that we've been wanting. I'm looking forward to that. And there was talks about Sandman actually coming back on Netflix. So we look forward to that in the coming year. So I'm looking forward to covering that as well on Podcastka Network for the Sandman cast with my friend Jamie Dimmick.
Cool.
And as well as you could hear me here, like I said, on Panels to Pixels podcast as we continue our coverage with Invincible Season 2. So you can hear me and Jamie cover that. So look forward to hearing that. For feedback, kind of like how Rob had mentioned, well, there's easy ways to actually follow us. You could go to our Facebook group, which would be facebook.com/Panels to Pixels. I usually put an image just like on Instagram where we could be found at Panels to Pixels podcast. So all you have to do is subscribe or follow or all that good jazz on those two platforms. I post the same thing there. So basically it's going to be an image and it states what we're going to be covering that week. And all you have to do is put it in the comments below and we'll read them. So all you have to do is that, or you could just email us flat out with panelstopixels1@gmail.com. Panels 2 is spelled out TO, pixels and the number 1@gmail.com. Type out your thoughts. We'll read them, or you could easily just record yourself and send it as an attachment. And then we could easily play it on the podcast. And your voice could be heard as well as ours on the podcast. And we will actually comment on it and have a little discussion about your thoughts, whether we agree, disagree, or laugh, because we like to have a good chuckle, because whenever I send in feedback, people laugh at it, which is funny. We could be heard on, not only be heard on, but found on YouTube. So all you have to do is go to the YouTube and search for Panels to Pixels podcast. While you're there, subscribe, ring the bell to be alerted when anything else comes up that's new, and give a thumbs up if you like what's going on. The more we get seen and heard, the more subscribers, viewers, the more we get noticed, and it's amazing. And let's talk about reviews as well. So we can be found on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast player of choice. Preferably, if you could give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, it would be really appreciated. But I always ask my audiences to just be, honest and truthful. Give us a rating or review. Type one out. That's always the best way, because that comes and rings right through, because that's a lot of how people gauge on whether or not to listen to a podcast or not. But those are the ways to engage us and give us your thoughts. So if you can do that, be greatly appreciated. So, well, that's it for this episode. I just want to thank everyone for listening. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
And different panel, different pixels, same podcast. This was Panels to Pixels podcast, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good day, good night, everyone.
Goodbye.